watching while I'm mesmerized by these lines. I'm so high, be watching while I'm mesmerized by these lines. I'm so high, be watching while I'm mesmerized by these lines. I'm so high, be watching while I'm mesmerized by these lines. I'm so high, be watching while I'm mesmerized by these lines. I'm so high, be watching while I'm mesmerized. I'm so high,
Bye.